Okay, so I think I wanted to make this video for a while, and I do want to have a conversation about generative AI because I do believe that when you have a very controversial topic, people tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I pretty much want to have the discussion about how um, bullying people who use generative AI is really not helping the art community um, as a whole. Now, I don't want to say that you shouldn't express how you feel about AI, but I do believe that something is being missed. And I feel like for me, this is something I've kind of been on a roller coaster when it comes to AI. I went from kind of being adversive to AI to actually embracing AI and using generative AI. And then into anti-AI. And I just kind of want to talk about that process and something that I've noticed that a lot of artists are missing the mark on and might be harming the community more than helping. So I kind of just want to say there are two types of people who use generative AI. One type of group who use generative AI, they do not care anything about the art community. They don't care about creativity at all. They couldn't care less, and you're probably not even reaching those people because these are the people, they have followers, they have supporters that even if you try to comment and express how much you dislike them using AI, they've probably already blocked you. They probably already blocked those comments out. And even with all of as much as you can, be mad at them, they just don't care enough to ever respond to you. And then there's another group of people who use AI who are creatives. They are in the art fields. They are in the creative fields. They do have a respect for art. They do have respect for creativity, and their idea about AI just may not be fully, like, they just don't understand the issues with AI. And this is the group that I believe that I belong to. And people when people come into the comments and say that these people aren't creative and you say that they're lazy, you have to see it from someone like us. You have to see it from our perspective because y- artists are mad at people who use generative AI, and a lot of artists or people who support artists want people to understand how bad AI is for the art community, but the art community doesn't want to allow patience for people who don't understand what the problem really is. So basically, what's happening is you ask for me to understand your point of view, and you're not giving anyone else the same grace. And this is an issue I believe that is making artists miss the point. Um, the creatives that do use generative AI, and yes, you can be creative and use generative AI. I feel like I am a testament to that. I did not want to hear out artists because artists were the first ones. Now, ironically, they never commented on any of my videos, but that's just because I'm kind of a nobody. So that's another thing about it. It's like you kind of have to be you kind of have to be have a following for people to comment. But like I said, chances are the people who do attack these creatives about using AI, you aren't, like, why would they come to your side and you just came in their comments and said this is AI slop, this is AI trash, your content's trash. Why would anyone want to hear that person out? Now, some people do get bullied into not using AI, but there's also a group of people who get motivated to use AI in spite of that because of the energy that is brought to them. And that was honestly my take. What happened was I was already in the creativity space, and I wanted to do photography and I wanted to do stock images. So when AI came out, I was like, "Oh, I've been replaced. There's just no way for me. There's no space for me really right now in digital art." And I didn't wanna give up, so as I looked into AI, I kinda had this idea. And I was like, well, maybe I can incorporate AI into my creative flow and use it in a different way and offer my creativity that way. Because on my side of the internet, everyone was raving about AI, even though I felt, apprehensive toward it, but I'm like, well, if people seem to specifically want AI or learn about AI, so I felt like I was getting left behind. So I decided to generate some images and I came up with this, and I realized I was like, okay, if I can create, I was like, can I incorporate this? Like, what can I do to make this more unique? So I'll give an example here on the screen. Right here, this is an AI based image. And this is create a simple 2D cartoon graphic of a cute stuffed bunny bear holding a heart in an SVG style with a white background. And they really couldn't even get the white background right. But this is a very generic image of a bunny holding a heart. And I had two rules for using generative AI. My rule was to not use IP in the prompt and to also make what I generate transformative. So I did not feel comfortable like taking actual artists art of work and then copying it into AI and then just taking that artwork and then throwing it on a POD to sell. I was not comfortable with that. I was never okay with that. And so I truly thought that my approach was ethical or unique and creative. And so basically what I did was this was the image, um, and it was just it's a generic image. I don't know why when I click that, I guess whatever. Point is, anyways, I converted that image into this, and I converted it into an Canva template. And now, as a Canva template, someone else can now drag and drop their own images. This is a picture of me as a baby. And from this, I actually made some little family picture magnets with printable magnetic paper in my Cricut machine. This is another baby picture of mine. And of course, you can like change the color. You can put whatever designs you want into this template. And I believe that this is transformative and it is creative and it is useful. And I think there are plenty of people who would love a little template like this where they can drag and drop their own designs into it. And I really believe what I was doing was creative and transformative. So imagine my shock when the internet, at least from my perspective, started to say, oh, people who use generative AI aren't creative or they're lazy. And I'm like, this took even like, no, it didn't take me as long as it would take me to like paint the cathedral, but it took time, effort, work, and intention. And it took a creative drive to do this. I had to clean up the AI and remove the background and do a lot of work. This is where I edited it. This is where I edited in Affinity. So this is one of the original after I converted it into an SVG and I had to like kind of clean up the lines. And not only did I convert it to an SVG, but I also converted it into an embroidery file to take over the ink stitch. And basically I digitized this design. And you can't say that and if you're like, "Oh, well, you didn't make it, so it's not really work." I'm like, digitizing is an entire industry in and of itself, and it is labor. So it's not lazy and it is creative. And what's happening is that I see people attacking other artists that you might have been able to reach. So in my case, I was using AI like this and I felt very justified in using it because I didn't fundamentally understand what the problem was on using AI. Because I didn't feel like I was stealing anything from anybody because I just felt like I made stuff that was so generic and I converted it into convertible files and made it transformative for other people. And I felt completely justified in that. And the issue is I felt like I was in the corner of the internet and I didn't feel supported except for by other AI people. People who use AI they have no problem with this. They probably be impressed. People who do like generative AI and have no problem with it, they're gonna be supportive of something like this. And what are artists gonna do? Artists are not gonna be supportive of something like this. And instead of being encouraging, they would critique it and they'll call me lazy after I spend hours on something that I believe is creative and transformative. And this is and I'm like and me, I'm like, again, why should I listen to you? Mind you, AI at the moment is illegal to use. And when you want to talk about ethics, I mean, sure, is it the most ethical thing? No. But there's probably the amount of plastic that I feel like people use, the amount of other unethical things is just not, it's not the worst unethical thing something that someone can do. So when people bring energy like I'm committing a crime, when people bring in that kind of energy like I've done something heinous and I haven't, then I'm like, why should I support the art community? Why would anyone support the art community after being told, after being insulted? And I keep seeing this. I keep seeing people, like the people who don't care about I don't even see them in the comments because on my feed, there's so many people who like openly use AI, and I don't see any of the anti-AI people in the comments because they know they would be overthrown by the amount of people who are supporting AI, that they won't be heard. But there are other creatives who are open to critique, but when people come in and say, this is AI slop, this is trash, you're trash, this is a person that you might have been able to reach. You might have actually been able to get them on your side, like me. Eventually, I started to delve more into art content, and I was inspired and encouraged by the art community to not use AI. And I don't regret going anti-AI at all. This avatar is not AI. I am so proud of how far I've come as an artist. I am so proud of myself, and I'm so glad I went anti-AI. It was kind of like on a whim. And then next thing I know, I just kept making and making, and I had improved, and I didn't even realize how much I had improved because I was using AI. When I didn't think that this bunny heart, I know I can make now. I designed this character, this virtual avatar. I'm a vector artist. I do use vector. I'm more comfortable with vector, but I am so proud that I did not use AI in any of this process. And I'm just trying to get people to understand that when you come off with a certain energy, you might be able to reach actual creatives and artists. And if you can't, that's okay. But I also feel like it becomes a moot point when you try to basically believe other creatives. They are creatives. You can't be creative and use generative AI, but I think people who use generative AI need more encouragement and not like you can critique, of course, and I don't want to silence the art community, but I think, just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I I support being supportive and encouraging people to not use AI because those were the videos that got me to finally, it made me, it clicked. It was the videos that showcased art, just showcase your art, just show up and showcase the best that you can do and say, like, look, you can do this too. But if you go into these comments and you talk down on people, some people will be bullied into not using AI, but a lot of people will go in that exact opposite direction just to prove a point, and that's kind of where I was coming from because I can be stubborn. I just felt like, I'm like, how are you gonna tell me I'm lazy when this is a career, not everyone can do this. I felt very proud of my digitizing. I created stickers, I created magnets, I created a convertible file, I created SVG, created a Canva file, something unique, something accessible. I made something that was soulless and flat and plain, and I converted it and transformed it into something editable. And I turned it back into art. I kind of felt like Frankenstein's. Is it monster? Is it the yeah, I kind of felt like Frankenstein. I'm not gonna lie. But that's kind of just a conversation. I'll probably extend this conversation, but I just wanted to talk about how you might be causing more harm to your cause by not being patient or extending the same grace that you expect from other people. But thanks for watching.